about time management, and we didn't actually start on time, right? Alrighty, guys. So, and if you will, go ahead and put your phone on mute so that we can rock through it. We've only got 15 minutes, so want to make sure that we get to all the goodness that we have. But welcome to February's Concern Talk, all about maximizing your time. So, in the spirit of doing that, we're going to be cramming a lot into the 15 minutes that I've got to hang out with you guys. And so, first and foremost, want to commend you for taking the time to join us for this short little talk and just really be a ground of just the starting of information for you to be able to say, hey, let me take this and be able to go forth and make some changes. So we are going to talk about what actually is time management, and then what does that look like. I think it's one of those pop phrases that we may hear a lot about, and you're like, what exactly does that look like? And then we're going to just jump into 9 tips so that we can be able to actually define what that looks like. So that is what we're here to do today. And, why is that so important? I'm sure for many of you, you've got 50 zillion other things that you could be doing, because probably not unlike other working professionals, people say they're working 50 hours a week at least. So I'm sure we may fall into that 94%, while the other half are saying they work 65 hours a week. So that's a lot of time. We only get 24 hours in each day. And so, it's trying to take the time that we're working and being able to really just maximize the time that you have. But also, we know that obviously being your employee assistance program, we're thinking, all right, this is from a work setting, but guess what? It spills over to personal time too. So being able to really look at what time management looks like for you personally and professionally, we know those just build on one another. And so defining what time management is, because I'm sure nobody's just raring to Google what is time management and looking up the Webster's dictionary version of what that is, but it's making sure that the processes, structures, protects, and adjusts a person's time to changing environments. We know COVID, even life in general before that, has told us that things are ever changing. We have to adapt. We have to, for some folks, having the ice storm last week for folks here locally in Memphis, you're always having to change at the drop of a hat to figure out, okay, how do we do this? How do I do my job, and how do we function as an organization? So, we know ever-changing environments are going to happen, and it doesn't even have to be anything as big as, some things like COVID or an ice storm, things like that. So we want to look at, okay, what is that? We're pulling those things out to say, all right, structure. What do I first and foremost need to do for the structure of my day to be able to manage the time that I have? Well, we have to be able to figure out a way to prioritize the zillion things that you have going on. I know that the ever-growing to-do list that you may have written down, or we may have in our head, is like, okay, what do I get to first? How do I figure out a way to just manage the chaos of all the things that I need to do? And this little matrix is one of my favorites that we talk through with folks. Sometimes in a training, sometimes it's on a individual basis. But just being able to kind of take all those things and figure out, all right, what are those first things need to be in order for me to knock those out first, and what are those things that they can wait, that maybe I can get them done tomorrow. It's not going to be the end of the world. And so figuring out a way for you to take all of those things that are going on and first and foremost focus on that top left quadrant that we see of most important and urgent. And so taking something as simple as this to be able to take the things off your to-do list and give them a priority. One of my favorite ways that a lot of times I tell people to do it is, if you've got scraps of paper, or if you've got, old-fashioned those note cards, sticky notes, you can kind of move those things around. We can always use like a Microsoft Word or something like that as well. But sometimes having those old-fashioned, like sticky notes or index cards, and being able to move things around and be fluid is helpful in you feeling like, okay, it may have been in my most important and urgent things to do, but I didn't get to it. So maybe it's something I can move down to the delegate section, and it's something that somebody else can help me with, and be able to take one of those things off your plate. So figuring out, that is one way that we can help prioritize the different things that you have going on, because we know that even while you're hanging out here for the 15 minutes that you're here, things that need to be done, and asks that other people have, they don't stop. We don't have things that, the world does not stop just because you're in a meeting or, on a webinar. And so those things are continually coming down. And another way to be able to organize all those things is just being able to realize, okay, I may have this master list of all the different things that need to get done. And that may be what, for a lot of people, what ends up happening is that master list is where we stop. It's like, I have a list. I have, this thing that kind of guides my day, and I look at it and I'm like, okay, let me knock this thing out. But if we break it down into more realistic time frames of, all right, I really need to get this done this month. I need to get this done this week, and then today. It's kind of like looking at that daily, that breakdown at the bottom there is kind of like we were looking at the quadrants on the matrix previously. That's your top left-hand corner. Those are the things that are urgent, important, and that you want to try to check off that day. There's always going to be additional things on your weekly and your monthly, but that is, if you're looking at it and breaking it down, it makes it much more manageable because you're not feeling overwhelmed by this massive list of things that you have to accomplish. And it's understandable because there are a zillion different things for you to have to do. But then again, if you're organizing all those tasks that you need to do, and you're able to look at that daily list, and at the end of the day say, okay, there may be one or two or three things still left on it, but you still can see an overall opportunity that those things are checked off the list for those things that you've been able to accomplish that day. So it's an opportunity for you to have those small victories of, okay, yes, that other massive list that is ever growing and is never, it may get smaller, but that, sometimes we get things added to it before we take them off. But if you're breaking it down and organizing it by realistically what you can do that day, then it's an opportunity for you to have those victories and break it down into bite-sized pieces that are much more manageable parts. Number 3 is really evaluating and looking at, what does my free time look like? For a lot of people, I hear from folks many times is, I don't have free time. I don't have free time. That's just a luxury. Well, many of us do. We have some kind of downtime, maybe between meetings. Maybe it's that commute time that you have when you're driving into work, or as you're doing things. But looking at that time that's in between your work schedule and or maybe when you're enjoying just walking outside and taking a deep breath, is how are we spending that? Are we actually giving ourselves the opportunity to have free time, which is really, really important? Or maybe some people fall into the category of, man, I finally turned that setting on my phone that tells me, can somebody mute? Hold on. But looking at that free time that we do have, and seeing how exactly we're spending that. Because many times it's an opportunity for us to gain some of that time back. If we're being honest with ourselves about how we're spending that time, then it really can be an opportunity for us to say, okay, I do have time that I can walk outside and just get a little fresh air. And I can maybe enjoy that a little bit more and be a little recharged if I am, not spending all that time with my head buried in my phone. I would highly recommend, because a lot of people don't realize how they are necessarily spending their free time until you turn on that setting that most people's phones have that tell you, this is how much percentage time you spend on games, or this is how much percentage time you spend on social media and things like that. So, we have to be mindful and really just honest with ourselves about where is that free time going, and could that be time that I'm actually pouring into myself, or am I doom scrolling on social media? So, being honest and transparent with yourself, you can only lie to yourself so much, especially if your phone is telling you, yeah, this is how much time you spent doing XYZ. You need that free time. But moving into having boundaries, that's a lot. When we talk about protecting the time that we have, it means us being sure that we are the ones that are setting those boundaries. And I've muted you all, so you can't actually say it, but maybe if you're sitting there thinking to yourself, okay, I don't really say this no word a lot, so maybe even though I'm muted, I can sit here and say, no, it's not a dirty word, guys. I know a lot of people think sometimes that if you tell somebody no, that you are letting them down, or you're not helping. And especially for a lot of, if you fall into the helper category, that it's hard for you to say no to people because you're so accustomed to being that people pleaser, and being able to have to, they always come to you and they're always asking of you because you never say no. Well, we've got to find a healthy balance of, just if somebody comes to you and say, hey, I really need your help with this, and so and so called off, and I need your help, please. It doesn't necessarily mean that you're telling that person no. The idea, we've talked many, many times, if anybody's been a part of this, talking about the yes no sandwich. Let's take that example. If somebody's coming to you and saying, hey, can I get your help with this? Well, hey, yeah, I would love to be able to help you with this, but not at this moment. I'm working on XYZ, and I might be able to help you as soon as I'm able to finish this project that I'm working on. But yeah, I know that's really important, and you want to get it done, but I really got to finish what I'm working on. A lot of times we get this guilty feeling if you're telling somebody no. So maybe trying to say it in a way of you're understanding that what they're asking you for is important. It's not that you don't want to help them. You're working on your own to-do list, because especially if you're that person that you're always saying yes to folks, then it makes it really hard for people to not come to you, because they're like, oh yeah, I'll just go ask so and so. But you can say no in a way that it doesn't feel like you're not just like, nah, nope. It is a complete sentence. You're fully entitled to say no, but sometimes people feel better because you get that guilty feeling if you're doing it in that way. I want to encourage y'all that some ways we can deal with the stress that everybody has, is being able to face it head on. If we're not in a good place, stress is part of what helps us get off the couch and helps us be able to accomplish those things off the to-do list. But we've got to be in a good place. Being able to have those lists and being able to look at them in a manageable way is part of what gets us to that ideal zone, and helps us not. I imagine not many of you are in the boredom, or just kind of hanging out watching Netflix in your office. You probably find yourself more on the right side, the strain, and hopefully not in the burnout section. But we want to find what it means for you to be in that ideal zone, and work in that category, and find that stress being in a manageable way. Because otherwise, if you're not there, we always talk about that if you're not taking care of yourself and getting to that good place, nobody else is going to be able to do that for you. And jumping into focusing on, okay, I have this free time, now how am I spending it, is really important, because guess what, you need a break. You need to be able to breathe, to go step outside, and to be able to just kind of retreat from some of the things that you're doing. It's healthy, and it's a good way for you to be able to, add in some creativity, and also be able to take that time and maybe walk around the building and release some endorphins. Step away from your computer and not be nose down in your phone, but truly be able to just take a break. And if you're getting more oxygen, you're doing some of those things, it's going to help you. And they feel like, okay, Melissa, you're giving me something else I have to do. When in actuality, it's kind of a recharge, and it's helpful in you being able to manage that ever growing to do list if you are incorporating these things in the time that probably is there, and we just may not necessarily be taking advantage of it. So the last three that we've got, guys, is adjustment. First step to quitting, and quitting what we're doing that may not be working is making those adjustments. And so being honest with how we're really doing is a part of that process. So if we're not being honest with ourselves, then again, we can't make any changes, because you're like, no, it's fine, I'm managing it. It's a little crazy. I get home and I'm just like crashed, burned. I can't do anything else. But we have to be the ones to say, I want to make these changes. I need to, for me personally and professionally, but you have to be the one to be able to make that choice to transition. I don't know where you find yourself on this little trajectory of a roller coaster, but everybody is somewhere. And until we identify where you are today and what direction you're heading in, then you can't be honest about, hey, this is where I need to go in the future. And so, of course, as always, I can send these slides out for anybody that wants to be able to look at them and just say, okay, this is where I am. And I may not necessarily be happy with where I am. I want to figure out a great way to move forward. Being able to reach out for help, Concern being a great option for you. We can be that tool in your toolkit for you to be able to work with a counselor and say, hey, I'm trying to find that best version of myself. What can you do to help me get there? This is where I am. This is where I want to be. And have that accountability can be a great thing. But also asking for you, I imagine you probably have a village of people around you that want to help, but you've turned them down so many times, they may just be like, well, I'm not even going to ask her if she needs help anymore because she always says no. Maybe you may be at that point that you have to be the one to say, hey, mom, I need your help with this. Or, teenagers, yes, I need your help to do the dishes, whatever it is. But again, if you've always been that person that you're doing and shutting people down to say, no, I don't need your help, then people may not reach out. So it may be you saying, yeah, and I'm going to take you up on that offer. And also letting go of some of the perfectionism behavior. I'm hopefully at this time of year, nobody's out trimming their grass in this way, but in a lot of ways we do, that perfectionism does get in the way of being able to move on to the next task, because we are beating ourselves up about having to something be the utmost of perfectionism to move forward. And so being able to say, I've done the best that I can. I am, worked hard on this. I spent a lot of time, energy, and resources. I'm human. There's going to be mistakes, but it's a really great product that I'm putting forth with this project or whatever it may be. I don't think any of y'all are waking up and you're like, I just want to put this crap forward that I've been working on and, put it in front of my boss and whoever else. Nobody does that, but you have to be able to let go of there being, being honest that there is going to be mistakes, and that you being okay with it being, the best thing forward that you put as far as your effort. And just realizing, each and every day is an opportunity, this being a jumping off point, hopefully for folks to say, all right, let me take one of these nuggets and move forward and work on some of those things, each and every day. Each hour is an opportunity for you to work on those things and be able to just build on all the things that you're working on. So want to remind you that Concern is here as that resource for you. You're welcome to go ahead and go to our website and be able to look at all of our professionals to say, I want to talk to this person. That Concern, I like to say that counselors were life coaches before it was cool for everybody to have a life coach, like all the celebs. Counselors are just here to help you work through whatever you've got on your plate. Everybody's got something, and so it's a free, confidential way for you to work on some of those things for yourself, whether it be by phone, telehealth, or in person. It's a great opportunity for you to kind of put all these things together, have that accountability for yourself, and just work through whatever you've got on your plate. So feel free, give us a call. We want to be able to support you as you're working through these things and finding that best version of yourself. So if anybody's got questions, thoughts, you're welcome to shoot us an email at theconcern@bmhcc.org. Love to hear from you. And also, if there's any topics in the future that you would like to be able to, for us to highlight, please let us know, and we'd be glad to have a concern talk on that in the future. As we said in the beginning, if you hadn't already, put your name and your organization in that chat box. This is recorded, so if we want to share it with anybody else that we think could also benefit from some time management techniques, we can share it on with them. But in the sake of time, I appreciate you guys coming to hang out, and just hope that you're able to join us again for these in the future.